Often it's not down to, oh! Okay, I wasn't expecting beheadings. He's moving all over the place. So is one of these guys drunk? I'm Matt Easton. I run a historical fencing club specialising in longsword and sabre fencing. And I'm going to be looking today at the game Hellish Quart, and I'm going to be seeing what I think of the game in terms of its historical credibility, what the fighting looks like, and whether it looks like fun as well. Okay, so we've got two fencers, one with a Polish or Hungarian style sabre and one with a longsword. They're doing a good mixture of cuts and thrusts, so the attacks look really realistic actually, I have to say. They look exactly like what you actually see when you're using these weapons in competition. And I really like the way they're moving to different guard positions. Okay, so he tried to use his left hand there to grab, which is really nice, so they've included that. Oh, that's a pretty nasty cut. I like the way that they kind of go down when they're wounded. It looks pretty realistic. Unfortunately, I've seen a few accidents happen in my time, and those are fairly realistic reactions to when people are wounded. It's very difficult fighting sabre against rapier because the rapier's got a longer blade and keeps the point forward. It's got good hand protection. The sabre guy's at a disadvantage here. And he's coming off pretty bad. So this type of sabre doesn't have very much hand protection, it's just got a cross guard really. The way he's using the sabre, he got the hit in that time. The way he's using the sabre is very much in the kind of Polish or Hungarian sabre style of the 17th century. And the woman's using a 17th century rapier. Oh, double hit. So that's actually brilliant to see. So many games only have one person actually coming off as the victor. And honestly, when you're using any kind of weapon, two people will stab each other or hit each other very often at the same time. And we know this happened in real duels as well, because it's mentioned in the historical accounts. So I really like the guard positions they're using. They are based on real historical guards. The only thing I would say is the longsword is quite forward presented, but the longsword's an earlier period sword, and I guess you'd have to adapt. I like the fact there's a lot of double woundings here. That's completely realistic and very much what you see when you actually, like in tournaments when people are fencing. Often it's not down to, oh! Okay, I wasn't expecting beheadings, but there we go. And there was a really nice use of the left hand to grab and control the opponent's sword arm there as well. Again, something we see in all of the treatises that we work from and teach from. So this is an even match, sabre versus sabre. They're both using similar styles, similar guard positions, similar cuts. Oof. Cut to the top of the head. When you see the similar weapons against each other, it's a little bit more chess-like as a game because they've both got the same strengths and weaknesses. I really like the flinch reactions they've got in there, and you see this all the time in fencing, that often something isn't an attack and isn't a guard, it's just a flinch, it's like halfway between the two, and they've really captured that really, really well. They've really captured also the line of the cuts, the way that the sword tracks through the air. Often in video games you don't see the edge leading in a cut properly, and it wouldn't in reality be a good cut, but they've really understood the trajectories of the cuts that have to be made to cut properly. I like the way how the sabre guy's struggling to get into distance because he's got to get past the point of that rapier. And see, he controlled the sword hand of the rapier woman. Exactly right, exactly what you're trying to do. You have to cross the opponent's blade and close in. Oof. So the rapierist, one of the things that they've got to be wary of is when they put their point in that moment there's nothing protecting them from being hit by the opponent's cut coming down and hitting them afterwards, because people don't just instantly drop down dead from a sword wound. So I love the fact that they've got as many double hits as they have in this game. I imagine that playing this, it's going to be quite difficult to not just get double hit, double hit, double hit. Again, a double hit, but completely realistic. Very nice. Okay, so is one of these guys drunk? He's moving all over the place. I don't know quite what to make of that. It's quite confusing actually to face that. I guess, I don't know, maybe that's some particular strategy he had, or whether he's literally wasted, I don't know. So it's absolutely clear to me that the developers of this game absolutely know about historical fencing, or HEMA, historical European martial arts as we call it. They've 100% studied those sword styles. The rapier system maybe looks a little bit generic. It doesn't look like one particular rapier system. Maybe the guard position isn't perfect, but the sabre fencing and the longsword fencing I think looks really, really good. But in terms of the way they move, the way they cut, the way that they use the offhand, the left hand to control the opponent's sword arm, it looks really, really similar to actual historical fencing, as seen in the historical treatises and as we see in modern competition today. I'd also say the reactions to the wounds look pretty realistic and convincing, and I absolutely love the fact that they've got so many double hits in there, because while that might be frustrating from a gameplay point of view, it is absolutely 100% realistic. It's realistic to what happens in actual fencing, but it's also realistic to what actually happened in real duels, because we know from the historical accounts that people very rarely came off unwounded, even if they won.
For even more on Hellish Quart, why not check out our gameplay video?